Hi class. I'm going to take some time to take up a topic which really goes to the heart of public personnel administration and does make it distinct from what you'll see in the private sector and very often what you'll see beyond the United States. And I'm generally pretty loath to read passages out of a book, but I do have something that I believe neatly summarizes this concept, and it's really an important one for us to understand as we begin this journey, and we are still in a preliminary phase, into understanding public personnel administration, aka human resource management. So let me read this portion to you. This gets into a distinction between what we call rank in job versus rank in person. So bear with me. Before we learn specific techniques, however, we would do well to consider some general theory. The foundation of American public personnel administration, the wellspring from which all techniques flow, is the idea of the job. Recruitment, training, compensation, evaluation, and so forth are all rooted in this very basic construct. This may seem perfectly obvious, but really it isn't. What it means is that in the minds of personnel administrators, all government agencies, or almost all, are conceived of a set of jobs, not as collections of people. In fact, we might say the first law of American public personnel administration is that jobs exist independent of their occupants. Strictly speaking, an employee or a prospective employee is treated not as a unique individual person, but as a set of knowledge, skills, and abilities that may or may not fit a particular job. The name given to this theory that underlies American public personnel administration is position classification, also known as rank-in job system. Position classification entails two related assumptions. First, the only things relevant to a personnel decision are the knowledge, skills, and abilities that a person brings to a job. All else is ignored. Second, the status and compensation an employee receives are solely a function of the job he or she does. This means that if a job as a carpenter, if I get a job as a carpenter, only my carpentry skills will be considered. Moreover, even if I have a degree in analytical chemistry, speak 7 languages fluently, and am accomplished as a concert pianist, I will be treated and paid as a carpenter, assuming I get the job. Contrast this for a moment with the major alternative system of personnel administration, known as rank classification or rank in person. In this system, which is used by most countries of the world outside of the United States, narrowly defined jobs are not nearly so determining. While there is an effort made to match a person's skills with a job, far more attention is paid to general qualifications and assets a person represents. Given a certain level of education, skill, or experience, a person is assigned a rank, which is held regardless of a particular job that person is performing. Not all organizations in the United States use a rank-in job system, but most do. Noting the few exceptions may help explain the differences between the two systems. The military, teaching profession, and foreign service are prominent examples. Whether one works in a motor pool or as a clerk in a company headquarters, a private is a private. Whether one teaches Introduction to American Government or a graduate seminar in political theory, an assistant professor is an assistant professor. Now, whether one approves visas in our embassy in Cairo or analyzes political developments from a desk in the State Department, an FSO 8 is still an FSO 8. So in all these cases, pay and status go with the rank a person holds, not the job he or she performs. So now, why? Why rank and job? Now, these previous examples are the exceptions. Personnel systems are based in rank and job for the most part. Our emphasis on jobs rather than human beings in this country may seem odd, given the people-oriented nature in public personnel administration, but it has deep historical roots. One reason emphasizes, it comes from Frederick Taylor, who you may have heard about in organizational theory. His impact was through the scientific management theories of public administration. So in other words, Taylor's view, as you may recall, was that organizations are basically machines and people are cogs in those machines. So they're interchangeable. You can plug people in and take people out of particular jobs. So the emphasis is on the job and not the person. That's a pretty good way of, I think, summarizing this. The second historical reason is that we've had civil service reformers who worked against the spoils system where you had overt political considerations that went into the hiring and retention of people. So in order to get around that, we came up with very elaborate evaluation systems, job descriptions that focused on those particular abilities, skill sets, and to the exclusion of everything else. So it's the system we have, it's the system we use. It does have that, to some extent, a dubious benefit of being considered apolitical. That is not entirely the case, but we like to think it is, and officially it is, so we carry on with that. But what that does mean is that we do focus on specific skill sets. So that's our important point of departure. That's why coming up with proper job descriptions in personnel administration in the public sector is so important. There's a great deal of time spent on that ordinarily. We're not going to deal with it too much. I basically want to move on into selection, retention, development areas and focus on that. By the way, I'll just put this out as well. We use the word human resource management. And I had a colleague back at the University of Hawaii who was an outstanding person in her field. She was basically a radical feminist anarchist named Kathy Ferguson. A brilliant person. I shared an office with her, and has grown to some great prominence actually within that niche. But she pointed out something that I've always carried with me, and that is a human resource does not whistle while it works. What does that mean? When you speak of human beings as human resources, you are reducing them. You are making them less than human. And that's why, in my view, the term human resource management is problematic because it doesn't take into account the whole person. And by the way, this is going to be an area that you're going to see challenge, and I believe it's a generational challenge where younger people, let's say those under 40, are less likely to hold that view and are more inclined to look more holistically at individuals that they're working with in the workplace and selecting for various offices, for better or worse. So we'll consider that going forward. I just wanted to share that with you. But there is that important element that we need to understand clearly going forward about this rank-in job concept and how it is applied in public personnel management. Thank you.